No two people are the same, nor do they have the same career aspirations. As such, our graduate program allows our graduates the opportunity to tailor make their rotations to align with each individual's career aspirations, ensuring that each person's journey is not only fulfilling but also unique. Pila, starting off with you, please run us through the various rotations that you have had exposure to and give us a glimpse of key projects that you've worked on.
All right, thanks, Sihle. So during my time in the graduate program, I only rotated in two spaces. One being CRA, Credit Risk Assurance, where there I was doing an RWA tracking dashboard to understand the drivers of RWA across the group. Then secondly, it was the operational risk analytics space, there where the main project that I was involved in was transitioning from the AMA model to the NSA model in order to measure operational risk capital.
Awesome. Now, in your first rotation, you mentioned a whole lot of acronyms there that people that aren't within Nedbank might not be privy to. Can you please just expand on what GRA is for our viewers as well as what RWA is?
So GRA is Group Risk Analytics. So basically that's the cluster in which my team sits under, and then RWA is risk-weighted assets, which are basically, it speaks to our capital. So it's basically 12.5 multiplied by the capital amount.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you very much, Pilar. Now, Carla, this question is directed at you. When I'm interacting with students at the various university engagements, a common worry amongst students is what coding language they need to know, as well as how proficient they need to be in said coding language. Can you talk us through, in your rotations, which coding languages have you been exposed to, and how would you put students at ease concerning their proficiencies in the different coding languages?
Yeah, no, definitely. This is such a common question. I feel like people relate quants with coding like it's a one-to-one relationship. But during my time in the program, I've grown proficient in SAS, SQL, and most recently Python. But when I joined, I really only had some very limited exposure to SAS from university. So I completely understand worrying that when you enter a new space or a new role, that you might not have the necessary technical skills and knowledge to make a success within that space. But I think the grad program provides so much support and training and development. They don't expect you to be proficient in any coding language coming in or to have a certain set of technical knowledge. So, for example, within our first year, we received mandatory training on both Python and SAS coding. So don't stress. You don't need to know any coding languages come in. The program is there to support you, to teach you, and you will gain that knowledge throughout your rotations.
Awesome. I love that. Evidently, one just needs an open mind in order to join you. So if you are a curious student with an aptitude of learning, then there could be a place here for you. Now, Riaza, over to you. Another concern that is relatively spoken about from students when we are on campus, especially engineering students, is firstly a look of shock that banks consider engineers, and then followed by a question is, what on earth does an engineer do in banking? As someone who studied engineering, can you talk us through, one, why did you choose banking? What were the drivers that helped you choose banking? And what were some of the deciding factors that helped you in choosing your rotations?
Okay. No, I think it's a very valid question. And I think sometimes many engineers don't even know that they can be a quantitative analyst. But I think one of the things that led me to this role was definitely having some exposure to financial outlook of industrial processes. And here I came with the issue, or I encountered the issue rather, of basically sourcing financing for many of the chemical engineering processes and innovative ideas that we often design as engineers. And I guess this is where I tapped into a whole new world of what goes behind actually lending out to different companies. And then obviously that led me to quantitative analytics and everything involved with credit risk, which was much larger than just industry. So I think what I first wanted to gain exposure to was modeling experience, because I think upon joining and even in our assessment, we often heard of EAD, LGD, PD, and I just wanted to know a little bit more about the modeling. So I joined the Wealth Financial Lab, which was in the retail business banking cluster. And here I did some modeling on exposure at default, where I did a little bit of data cleaning. I also looked at applying different filters, and I also did a bit of backtesting and B-factor analysis. That was predominantly in SAS. I then moved on to the group risk analytics space because I thought, let me try a different cluster. And here I joined the Advanced Analytics and Innovation team, and it was a lot different to modeling, but I realized I enjoyed it a lot more. So I worked on climate risk automation in Python, and I also gained exposure to scorecard modeling. Then I moved back to retail and business banking within the data and analytics space, given that I enjoyed the advanced and analytics innovation team so much. And then I guess recently, my time there was very short. I did do quite a bit of script automation, and I took part in month-end runs. But then I went permanent in the model risk management team, which is back in group risk analytics, because I realized I love that space so much. It being a sister team of advanced analytics and innovation, I knew that I would enjoy my time there, and I had already been exposed to some of the work that they do.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that. Very thoughtful approach that you've taken into picking your rotations and your exposures. Sometimes graduates are interested in getting work exposure in business units that aren't on the rotation cycle. The Quant Graduate Program, as we know, affords grads the opportunity to harvest rotations. Now, Pila, you've had experience in harvesting/extending a rotation. Can you talk us through how this helped you meet your career goals?
Yeah, I think that's one of the great things about this program is the fact that you do get a list, right, of quite a number of rotations that you can go into. But yes, it does happen sometimes that some of those rotations don't necessarily align to your career aspirations, right? So that freedom of being able to source a rotation where you can essentially set up a coffee chat with the manager, get to know what the team does, and then if it interests you like that you can go into that space. So I was one of the people that did that slightly. It's a rotation that normally is on the list, but during that time it wasn't. And I was quite interested in it because I'd seen some of the graduates, specifically my buddy, work in that space, and I saw the work quite interesting. So I reached out to the manager, had a good conversation with them, and then ultimately I then went into that rotation. Funny enough, it's a space in GRA as well. Enjoyed it so much to a point where I extended my rotation because I just wanted to follow through on certain projects, and I also felt like there was still more that I could get exposed to.
Just an offside question. Which year was this? Your first or your second year?
This was my first year. Yeah, so second rotation.
Perfect. I love that because it just highlights that even coming in as a graduate, you do impactful work, not just in the team, but in the greater organization as well. So thank you for that, Pila.